Welcome back to Route 66. We're in Stroud, Oklahoma. And if you remember a couple weeks ago when I was traveling down Route 66, this is where I ended. And great little town. And it's a pretty cool place to visit. Actually, came back. I stayed the night here and had breakfast at the Rock Cafe. I couldn't. It wasn't open the last time I was here, so it was nice to go inside, have a really good breakfast. It was delicious. They have a little gift shop over there. Got me some postcards and stuff like that. And we're going to start the day here. It's interesting, I was talking to the waitress because I was asking, is the 100-year anniversary of Route 66 going to give them a lot more business? And she said, really and truly, they have normally good business just from kind of normal, the normal crowd. But with the extra people, it'll be crazy. And they're not even open 7 days a week because they don't have enough help. They don't have enough people to cook, enough waitresses. And so they don't even open 7 days a week because of that. So it's not like they wouldn't want to be open. It's just in a smaller town, and sometimes it's harder to get enough people to work at a job like that. So if you want to get a job in Stroud, Oklahoma, I'm sure they would be interested in hiring. And it sounds like, especially later in the summer when people are celebrating Route 66 more and more and getting out on the road, it would be a busy place, and probably will be some long waits at places like the Rock Cafe, which is a great thing for these businesses. So we're going to start here today. Like I said, we've already been here, so if you are wondering, if you didn't watch the previous video, make sure you go back and watch that. This is where we end here in Stroud. We're going to head west towards Oklahoma City. We're basically going to end in Oklahoma City, or I guess you say north of Oklahoma City, visit some towns along Route 66, and then also we're going to go north and south, get off Route 66 and see what else there is, little communities and more off the beaten path, even off of Route 66 places. So let's go ahead and get started. Starting there in Stroud, we're going to head west. We're going to take a little detour there, you can see on a back road. And then after we go to that interesting location, we'll head over to Davenport. So Stroud's over that way, came down this dirt road a mile or two, and there's a cool obelisk here marking the Ozark Trail. So this is a pretty rare thing. It's not too far. Like I said, just take the dirt road a little bit out of Stroud. And so the Ozark Trail dated back to 1913. So it was here before Route 66. And they used to mark the trail with these. And there were like 20 of them throughout the trail. And this is one of them. There's only 2 left in Oklahoma. I think I read there's only 7 left in the entire country for the Ozark Trail. So very cool. And, even though Route 66 is our main kind of path we're leading today, these are the kind of things we might find just a little bit north and south of the road. The post office was established in 1892 here in Davenport after the Sack and Fox land run of 1891. It was given the postmaster's family name. However, when a rail line was built by the St. Louis and Oklahoma City Railroad was crossed by the Eastern Oklahoma Railway in 1901, the town coalesced around that intersection and was formally incorporated in 1906. The town managed to get the Ozark Trail Highway through town in 1916, and that road became the path of U.S. Route 66 in 1926. Originally an agricultural center, the town was boosted by nearby oil production in the 1920s, had 6 oil companies and 3 cotton gins in the 1930s. Today it's mostly a bedroom community. Broadway Avenue, Brick Street, is on the National Register of Historic Places in Lincoln County, Oklahoma. Population-wise, you can see how it grew until 1930, then went down just a little bit and has pretty much maintained the population, although slightly down in the last few decades. There's some really great murals here walking around the downtown area in Davenport, and this whole area is on the National Register of Historic Places. going to go up north just a little bit there. See, there's a little community called Kendrick, so I want to go check that out. After that, we're going to come back down onto Route 66, head over to Chandler. Lots of things to see in Chandler. We're a few miles north of Route 66, north of Davenport, and this is Kendrick, standing in the middle of downtown Kendrick. A couple of cool old buildings here. Take a little walk around. So Kendrick is actually still an incorporated town with 87 people, although the post office closed in 1985 and was opened in 1903. I'm guessing, because I haven't been all around Kendrick yet, I'm guessing that opened up around the railroad, and then the town grew. Actually, so that's 20 years before Route 66. And so you could say Route 66 kind of bypassed Kendrick. And it's still here, incorporated town, not much left. So there's some houses, there's, a couple businesses, community center. Population in 1930 was triple this. So when Route 66 really started going, there were almost 300 people living here. And now there's just slowly over time, not many people left. Before we get into the history of Chandler, Oklahoma, let's stop by the Chandler Armory, which now houses the Route 66 Interpretive Center. So this is a museum devoted to understanding the construction and history of Route 66. It was built of local red sandstone by the Works Progress Administration, the WPA, between 1935 and 1937. It was vacant until becoming the home of the museum in 2007, and the building was put on the National Register of Historic Places in 1992.
Then we were placed on the National Register of Historic Places in May of '91. And these are some more photographs, segment of the movie Giant called Gusher. It is like 4 or 5 minutes long. And if you want to watch that in a little bit, just let me know. And then I have some pins if y'all would like to pin where you're from on our map out here. What is the one that used to practice in the drills, and now it's an event venue, and we rent it out for weddings and receptions. It's about 8,000 square feet, and we have seating for up to about 400 people. And this is our Veterans Wall of Honor.
They have a big room in the Interpretive Center here that has a lot of interesting Route 66 items. So it has obviously a overall history there, but each state has one of these. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a see-through glass with a whole bunch of history for each state. And Obviously a lot of Route 66 artwork on the wall, but this is definitely the place if you want to see the most Route 66 stuff in this building. They also have some videos you can watch. You can sit in old chairs like they would be in a car of the day, or a bed. I was told this was a bed that was to be like a hotel from back in the day on Route 66, and you can watch a little movie there while laying on the bed. So you can see other states there. Once again, it's kind of hard to see on the video, but it's really cool to look at all of the detail. There's the Oklahoma one that has all the different towns along Route 66 on the map, and you can see where Chandler is. Even the restroom's nice. So now over to the town of Chandler. It was named after Judge George Chandler, who was also Assistant Secretary of the Interior. The site of Chandler was opened by a land run in 1891. Post office was established that year. When Lincoln County was organized, Chandler became the county seat. Courthouse was destroyed by a tornado in 1897, and a two-story frame building was erected as a temporary courthouse on the present site. The building was removed in 1907 to make room for a stone courthouse. This third courthouse burned down in 1967, and the current courthouse was constructed. And you'll see the courthouse here in just a little bit on the video. The St. Louis and Oklahoma City Railroad, later the Frisco, built a line through Chandler in 1898. Another railroad, the Choctaw, Oklahoma and Western Railroad, that later became the Rock Island, was built between Chandler and Guthrie in 1902. The railroads enabled Chandler to move its agricultural products, as well as bricks made by the Chandler Brick Company, to markets. Route 66 brought a lot of commercial business to Chandler, but many of these businesses died out when Interstate 44 was built. As you look at the population, it grew pretty much until 1930, and then since 1930 it's been pretty steady. Went down a little bit 1960, 1970, but then popped back up. By 2010 it was over 3,000. Now it's back to 2858. We're going to detour off Route 66 a little bit. I want to go down and see if there's anything in Midlothian. Then we'll head back north up to Warwick. So as I showed you on that map, we kind of went down some back roads, and there's a couple houses down where it says Midlothian. I wasn't going to find anything, or didn't think I was, and then I found this. Midlothian Mission Music, it says on the sign. Pretty awesome. And so Midlothian was started around 1902, had a post office from 02 to 1919, and obviously wasn't very big. It was named Midlothian because there were Scottish settlers here, and they said that these hills reminded them of Midlothian County in Scotland. So that's why it was named Midlothian. So, like I said, not much here, but this is really cool. So definitely worth the detour off Route 66 to check this out, I think. Housed in the former SEBA filling station, listed on the National Register of Historic Places, this Route 66 landmark, the SEBA Motorcycle Museum, is now filled with dozens of vintage motorcycles from as far back as 1908. The station was built in 1921, 5 years before Route 66. And as you can see, it's kind of overwhelming how many motorcycles are here. I didn't count it, but I said dozens because it's got to be dozens. It might be hundreds for all I know, but very cool. If you're definitely into motorcycles, you'll want to stop here. It was cool that there were some guys on motorcycles stopping in as I was pulling in.
Cubic inches. Yeah. Still in the wrap.
So there's the museum, and the guy said this was the original restrooms for when this was the gas station. So kind of being cleaned up a little bit. So now over to the town of Warwick. It was named for a county in England. Post office started in 1892. There were many early businesses and a depot that served both the Frisco and the Fort Smith and Western Railroad. Cotton was the major cash crop. It was not incorporated until later in its history, but it was done so to preserve the local school system. 1963, fearing annexation, Warwick citizens incorporated the town, and that comprised their school district. Despite this effort, the district was consolidated in 1968, unfortunately. There's a school building, as we saw there in town, and that's now a community center. Post office closed in 1972, and you can see the population, how it went up a little bit, peaked in the year 2000 at 235, and it's dropped off a little bit down to 164. Leaving Warwick, we're going to head over to Wellston as we cross under the turnpike there, I-44. Wellston is the town that Warwick consolidated their schools with, so you can see how close they are. We're going to take a little detour, see what the dot on the map of Hibsaw is, and then we'll pop back on to Route 66 down to Luther. Around 1880, a man named Christian Wells established a trading post in the northern part of the Kickapoo Reservation. The Wellston Post Office, named after him, opened in 1884 with Wells as the postmaster. When the Kickapoo lands were opened by land run in 1895, Thomas Craddock staked a claim near the trading post and deeded the land for the town. In 1898, the Arkansas and Oklahoma Railroad was built near town. Town served as a trade center for surrounding agricultural area. Route 66 was constructed 1 mile south of Wellston, and that threatened the town's survival. After a dispute with the State Highway Department, a bypass was paved through town that gave better access to people for the town of Wellston. Population-wise, it has grown over the years. It did peak in 1990. Since then, it has dropped off, unfortunately, and you can see there in the last 3 decades down to 679 today. In our effort on this channel to go to every dot on the map, this is Hibsaw. And not much here. A couple buildings maybe over there, might be a house. You can see the railroad cars down the way. So what was Hibsaw? Well, unknown a little bit, but likely what it was just a railroad stop. It never had a post office. It was formed in the early 1900s. So when you got to think of the Oklahoma history here, Oklahoma became a state in 1907, but they opened the land in the 1890s in that Oklahoma land run, and people were moving down here, and they needed a place to, ship from. So they built the railroads through here, and they needed a stopping point, and Hibsaw was probably something like that, a place that farmers could bring their stuff, bring their crops, and ship on to the bigger cities. And never was big enough to be a town, not even a post office. So that is what it is. So this is kind of like a ghost railroad point. Really not even a ghost town. Never a town, never a post office. Hibsaw. Just down the road from Hibsaw, this is the Threatt filling station. It was built in 1915, closed in the 1970s. It's now in the National Register of Historic Places. During the Jim Crow era, the Threatt filling station provided a place where black travelers could stop, shop, and park for the night, or just rest while traveling. The property in which the station was located was owned by the Threatt family, a black family that engaged in multiple entrepreneurial avenues. The Threatt family estate also provided a safe haven for displaced blacks from the Tulsa Race Massacre in 1921. Luther was named for Luther Jones, the son of Oklahoma County entrepreneur, promoter, politician Charles Jones, and namesake of Luther Aldrich, Jones's business partner and friend. Aldrich purchased the land on which the town was located in 1898 because it was on the right-of-way for the St. Louis and Oklahoma City Railroad. In 1916, Booker T. Washington High School for African Americans opened in Luther. It was heralded as one of the premier high schools for blacks in the United States. The Great Depression of the 1930s had a devastating effect on the town, forced many farmers to relocate and town merchants to close their doors. Both railroads ceased serving the town at the end of World War II. Completion of the Turner Turnpike in 1953 diverted traffic from Route 66. Washington High School closed in 1957 when the school systems integrated. From 1960 to 1990, Luther experienced a surge in population growth. Many people who moved away during the Depression had returned after they retired. Another economic downturn during the 90s spurred a second exodus. However, the numbers doubled back by 2010. Over 90% of Luther's employed residents commuted to work, and that was helped by the interchange on the turnpike. You can see that population just kind of up and down, especially from 1990 through 2010. Kind of crazy. And here's the final stretch of Route 66 we're going to explore today. As we head west out of Luther, there's Arcadia and then Edmond which is basically the north side of Oklahoma City. Just down the road from Luther, this is an old gas station. Got a little sign there, historical building, Route 66. I think it's from the 1920s. There's a sign here that tells some stories about it, some counterfeiting money, Al Capone, different stories. Who knows if all that's true, but this was an old service station before they had electricity out in these parts. We're nearing the end of our day and only a couple places to go. And the next one is a town that I did an entire profile of previously, Arcadia. So I'm gonna skip past that. If you wanted to stop and learn about Arcadia, you could watch that video. And but we're gonna cruise on through today and then head to our final stop. You know, I much prefer the small towns and tiny dots on the map than the big city. And ironically, we're finishing in a city of almost 100,000 people. This is Edmond. And, you know, I'm not going to show you a ton of this. You know, I drove around the town just a little bit. They have a little Statue of Liberty, which is cool. This is where Shannon Miller's from, the Olympic gold medalist. But yeah, there's so much traffic and so many new businesses. It's not really something I'm as interested in showing you. I like those places like we've been all day today on Route 66, but I did want to stop here and show you this really awesome looking guy. This is the Touch the Clouds monument. That was Chief Touch the Clouds right there. And what an amazing statue this is, what an amazing monument. And I thought this would be a good place to end. And you know, Route 66 is full of interesting kind of unique places, and this is a pretty unique thing, and this is right on Route 66, so we're staying true to the route here. Hope you enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun for me. A couple of cool places to explore that weren't exactly like right on Route 66, and we're able to go into some of the museums and shops and meet some of the people that run those and really get the spirit and the heart of what Route 66 is. So that kind of completes the trilogy from the northeastern corner of Oklahoma down to Oklahoma City. I'll probably keep on going at some point. I'll head west from here. It really widens out from Oklahoma City to the west to Texas, so we'll probably do that in the future sometime. But hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, I will see you down a back road. Now that you made it to the end of that video, let me tell you about some of the extras on the channel. One of the things you can do is become a member. There are 3 levels of support. There's supporter, producer, and executive producer levels. All 3 have different levels of fun incentives and perks. If you haven't done so, please check out travelwiththewiseguy.com. There are lots of extras on there to explore. One of them is merchandise. We have Travel with the Wise Guy coffee mugs, Death Go Round t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and all sorts of fun things to show your support of this channel. Also on the website is a custom Google map. I've dropped pins in every place I've visited and linked the episode to each location. This seems to be a very popular feature for many of you. Also, sign up for my free newsletter that goes out about once a month. There are all sorts of links and tidbits on this page, old videos, podcasts, and just about everything I can think of I throw on the website. For all that information and more, go to travelwiththewiseguy.com. And now, the reason you're probably here, the outtakes. We're nearing the end of our day, only 2 more places to go, and the first one is a town. We're in Davenport, looks like a red and yellow theme. This one's a little more faded out, so a little older. Not sure if I've seen that exact design before, but pretty good. They got some rocks on there, looks like somebody's been on there recently. That thing spins fast. A little wobble. Pretty good though. It could use tightening up and it would be really, really good. Pretty classic. I'm gonna give it a 7.3.